Hey YouTube, got back from Ohio yesterday. I lost on the bubble to Gladiator Beasts. Here's the list I used. 2 Barbaros, 3 Tengu, 3 Warwolf, 3 Rhino, 3 Striker, 1 Book, 1 MST, 3 Duality, 1 Dark Hole and Monster Reborn, 2 Starlight Road, 2 Solemn Warning, 2 Bottomless Trap Hole, 2 Horn of the Phantom Beast, 2 Skill Drain, 2 Call of the Haunted, EM1, Dimensional Prison, Dark Bribe, Transmigration Prophecy, Torrential Tribute, Mirror Force, Solemn Judgment is one of. Uh, the big change in the main deck is I mained an MST over a Horn of the Phantom Beast and a Transmigration Prophecy over. I don't even know what I mained it over. Someone will post that in the comments, I'm sure. Um, Transmigration I put in because I expected there to be a lot more Dark World. The Friday before the event, I didn't really know how bad Dark World was until 6 o'clock at night on that Friday. Dark World just loses to itself, I feel. Like, round 3 when I played against it, game 1, he just didn't even get to play because his hands were so bad. Then game 2, I just had. Well, I'll get into the side deck later, but I had everything I needed to stop him from doing anything. Um, the 2 Barbaros. I'm not sure exactly what Desmond Boyd's list was, but I think he played Thunder Kings over the Barbarosses, along with a couple changes in the trap lineup. Like I know he played 3 Starlight Road. Um, yeah. I like the Barbaros. Not just because under skill drain it's big, but it's just big in general for Call of the Haunted plays. I can't even say how many games I won from going Call of the Haunted for Barbaros, attack over Hyperion, attack over Leviathan Dragon, attack over anything you couldn't get over before. You can just Call the Haunted for Barbaros and beat over it. It's like giving Call of the Haunted even more options than it already gives you. It can put you back in the game, and it can give you a really. It can put you back in the game by bringing back a TG monster in response like MST, or if you just really need a TG search. Or it can bring back Barbaros and start a really aggressive push. Um, Transmigration Prophecy. Every time I drew it and set it turn 1, it got blind MST'd. Like I would set 3 and would the Transmigration was a fucking magnet for MST. I don't know what it is about that card, but so I think I resolved it 3 or 4 times the entire tournament. Every time it resolved, it was huge, except for once, I think. Um, I liked it. I might end up cutting it for the third horn since Dark World wasn't as prevalent as I thought it was going to be. Though the next event's Dark Smog is going to be legal, and I'm not sure how much of an impact that's going to have, but it seems like it'd tear this deck apart even more. I only played 2 Horn of the Phantom Beast because Horn of the Phantom Beast isn't that good versus Agents, and it's really awful versus Dark World. um, I opted to cut it down to 2 because it's still good against other decks. It's really good against anti-meta stuff, and a lot of, like, the mirror match, it's solid. It's a good card, and it can still win games. I just felt like it wasn't warranted to play 3. It's just dead too often. Same thing with EM1. So many times you have EM1 and you just don't want to play it because it's just a bad card so often. Like, it's good against some decks, but like against plants, it's just dead most of the time. So I cut down to 1. Um, 2 Starlight Road. Had I have the chance to go back and do this deck list over again, I would cut one of the Starlight Roads for, as much as I hate to say it, probably a second Dark Bribe. I activated Starlight Road 5 times the entire tournament. Now, every time I activated it, it was game ending and it won. Like, I'm not trying to say it's bad when it goes off, but the amount of times it doesn't go off, I drew it at least once every match, and there were 11 rounds of the tournament. It just was dead too often to really justify playing. Dark Bribe lets me feel safe from Heavy Storm while also providing other things. Like, I lost to Mind Control and Enemy Controller while I had Starlight Road down. I was just like, damn, I wish this was a Dark Bribe. This was a Dark Bribe to have a game. That's actually how I lost a game to Sean Montague. He just had Enemy Controller for my Barbaros and just attacked for game because I had Starlight Road down, which doesn't do a damn thing. Um, there are a couple people telling me that Call of the Haunted isn't that good, and I laugh at them. It's probably the best, one of the best, if not the best, trap card in the deck. Like, I guess Solemn Warning might be better, but Call of the Haunted's really freaking good. Like, it puts you back in the game with Rush Rhino, like, just Call of the Haunted, Rush Rhino, or Striker, or Werewolf, and get a CG search. Call of the Haunted, the Warning, Reborn Tengu, when you just get all the Tengus going. Call of the Haunted, the Barbaros, and it's just an out to almost any monster they can summon. I can't imagine cutting Call of the Haunted down to 1. I'd probably play 4 if I could. It's such a good card. If I could play, I would rather play 3 Call of the Haunted and 0 Reborn than 2 Call of the Haunted and Reborn. That's how good Call of the Haunted is in this deck. Onto the side, an extra. In the side, I played 2 Kaiko, 1 Breaker the Magical Warrior, 3 DD Crow, Puppet Plant, Prohibition, MST, 2 MST, Debunk, TG1 EM1, Dimensional Prison, and 2 Liberty at Last. Now, there was a couple hours of thinking going into this, and again, I was expecting a lot more Dark World than there was. So I was planning on siding 11 cards for Dark World. The 3 Crows, 2 Breakers, Prohibition, 2 MSTs, Debunk, EM1, and Dimensional Prison were all going in against Dark World. Prohibition was you call Grapha, and hopefully they don't have MST. The idea is that Dark World just loses completely outright if it can't summon a Grapha. And if they side an Eradicators and the Eradicators are now dead, so it just creates a lot of dead cards in their deck at the cost of 1 card. And with how quick the TG deck could just turn into a winning field, I really think Prohibition was a solid choice. And had I played more Dark World and actually drawn it, I think it would have been a very solid pick. The sided EM1 was for stuff like Gladiators, where they just go exceed summon for something, you can just take it, and you suddenly have complete field control. This wasn't relevant because I didn't draw it. 2 Liberty at Last for Agents again. I think I sided them at least one in against Gladiator Beasts when I played at round 11. I sided it in. I think I might have been all the time. It wasn't. I didn't side it in much, but it was a solid card. It actually let me beat Jerry Williams round 10. I was like completely crushed. He had a Christia and an Earth, and I had no outs to it except the Liberty. I just Liberty threw them both back in the deck, and I managed to make a comeback and get a winning field going. The Kaikos are for the mirror match and other decks where I side out the skill drains and in turn side out the Barbaroses. Well, I also don't really care about the breaker. So I put in, let's say I take out skill drains against like, trying to think of what it was for. Dark World. So you take out skill drains, you take out the Barbaros, you put in the Kaikos. The Kaiko blocks gates, the Kaiko removes Grapha. Kaiko was just overall seemed like really solid card in theory. I never sided it in. Breaker, I never drew it. I sided it in when I feared Decree, and then nobody sided Decree against me, so I sided it out for game 3 almost every time. The 3 DD Crows were solid. At first against plants, I was siding in the 2 Crows and a Debunk. Then I drew Debunk dead and just started siding in 3 Crows, and I was very happy with just 3 Crows. Crow shuts down so many of their cards. It blocks the BLS. It blocks the Spore Plays, it blocks the Glow Up Bulb, it blocks Debris Dragon, blocks Pot of Avarice, blocks Reborn, blocks Call of the Haunted, blocks so many of their power plays that I just felt that it was much better than Debunk. Like, I think I almost lost the game because I had a Debunk down and he went Monster Reborn for Thunder King Ryo. And I just didn't have any outs, and thankfully I top-decked something that killed the Thunder King, but it was a scary Reborn. Puppet Plant was for Samurai and Gravekeepers. I didn't play against either. The 2 MSTs, again, I sided them in, and any time I thought there was a potential that someone sided Decree. I think one person sided Decree against me, and he never drew it. Onto the extra deck. 1 Orient Dragon, Brionic, Ally of Justice, Decisive Armor, Scrap Dragon, Black Rose Dragon, Urbellum, Cataster, Wonder Magician, Stardust Dragon, Barkion, Trishula, Stardust, Kyanite, Utopia, and Roach. Should probably fix that. It's a bit messy. There we go. I think I summoned Trishula, Barkion, Kyanite, and Roach. I don't think I made any other synchros in my extra deck for the entire tournament. I made Gaia Knight a lot. I made Barkion once. I made Trishula once. I made... Yeah, I actually didn't synchro that much. Like again, like this deck's mostly just a very... It plays a lot like Gadgets, where it's just like summon attack, set some kind of protection, and just... Except it can be really explosive with Barbarossas and Tengus and Strikers. Uh, yeah, I made Roach once, and it won me the game. I never made Utopia. Wow. I'm like just realizing this is kind of cool. The Urbellum was in there because I'm siding Puppet Plant and against Samurais if they side Rivalry. I want to be able to go Striker, Puppet Plant, take Sheehan, and Synchro for Urbellum so I can beat over whatever and get rid of the Sheehan. Because otherwise I have nothing to Synchro into. I have so much extra space in my extra deck that it really didn't matter. I should probably decided put in a Power Gladiator too and something over Decisive Armor, which I don't even know why that's in there. I can never make that. I need what? Tengu, Rush Rhino, and a Striker. Yeah. I've still never summoned Wonder Magician in a tournament game. Never. That's 3 big tournaments and I've never summoned one. I summon it all the time in playtesting. Like I'm like, I really want to find some time where it's relevant to summon this, and any time I summon it in testing, I lose because of it. It's just not. I don't know. It's in there because it gets rid of Decree, and I have enough space that it doesn't matter. I just feel like it's gonna come up eventually, but I've still never summoned it ever. uh, well, I think that's it. If I had to change anything in the sideboard, I'd probably take out the debunk for the Thorad Horn of the Phantom Beast. Because the Horn of the Phantom Beast is really good for decks like Heroes and Gladiators and other decks that you might, like more rogue decks. While Horn's not as good against decks like Agents, it's really good. I'd probably side the third Horn in against Plants just so I can deal with Thunder Kings better. Like, that was a problem. Like, I know Toronto, I never really lost with Thunder King, but here, because I didn't have the Max Horn of the Phantom Beast, I wasn't really drawing as many outs to Ryo. So it was actually somewhat of a problem. um, yeah, aside from that, I really liked my deck list. I thought it did well. I'll have a tournament report up. I had a really hard Swiss bracket. Um, I'll post a link in the description when the tournament report goes up on Duelist Grounds and probably Pojo. Um, yeah, I got 45th place, lost the feature match to Robert DiMartino, who was playing Gladiator Beasts, so I'm the guy who let Gladiator Beasts top. That's why I sound so depressed right now, by the way. Okay, well, until next time, see ya.